Our keynote speaker this year engages over 3 million people a week. She has been highlighted in Inc. 500 as a keynote speaker in New York. She has been highlighted with Fast Company magazine, and she lives right here in New Plymouth, Idaho. Stay tuned to find out who she is. Hi guys, I thought that I would let you know who our keynote speaker is this year for our mini convention. It is the author of Backyard Boss Lady. Her name is Jessie Roberts, and she has a place in New Plymouth. She's going to be here. She has been gracious enough to say yes to our invitation, and we are quite excited. So go to Barnes & Noble or go to Amazon, get her book, read her book. She will be doing a book signing for us as well, so quite excited about that. And for those who don't know already, we have a mini convention that we're doing in Boise. So normally we have a 4-state convention, and it's got the Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, and Idaho states all together, and it's a 3-day event. Well, this year it was supposed to happen in Park City. Unfortunately, COVID-19 made that go away. As such, we decided we'd put on a little mini convention. So we are going to do it in person. There is not going to be one Zoom meeting in the place. So if you miss it, you miss it. I'm sorry. But in 6 weeks, we will be hosting an in-person mini convention that is only 24 hours long in Boise, Idaho at the Riverside Hotel. So you got to check out our website. The registration just went live today, and you can see the tentative agenda there today. So we are working on that this week. We are also kicking off an art installation project. So if you're a knitter or a crocheter, please, oh please, we need rectangles that are about 2 feet by 1 foot. If you want to do squares, if that's all you can do it, because right now that's all I can do. We need as many as we can get. We need about 2,000. So if you can do 10 of them for us, please send them in. We would love to have them. December 15th is a deadline, and the only thing that is required is that they be made of wool yarn or wool blend yarn. The colors is up to you, the stitches are up to you, the pattern is up to you. All of that is on you, and that is what partly makes the character of this art installation really fun. So that's what's been happening this week, and I'm going to bring you around and we'll go talk to Caleb for a while, see what he's up to. So now we're going to go find out what Caleb is up to over here. Hey, Caleb.
Hi. Well, everybody, I guess I'll share with you a little bit about what I've been working on. So one of the major issues that's recently come up in the government affairs arena that affects our members is the definition of habitat. For those of you who aren't aware of this issue, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and the National Marine Fisheries Services under the National Oceanic and Administrative Services or Agency has submitted or soliciting comment on proposed definition of habitat. One of the language differences that was proposed between the two definitions was depends upon versus use. And what this would essentially say is if an endangered species depended upon a certain area, that would be considered habitat, versus if an endangered species could use a certain area. And while there may not seem to be much of a difference, there's a pretty big policy difference that results in that areas that could potentially be used by a species could be listed as habitat when in fact it doesn't have any of the attributes necessary to make it something that the species would need to survive. Take, for example, let's say if there was an endangered species of deer and you have a highway. If there is a highway median going through the middle that has some forage in it, certainly a deer could use that forage. Now, hopefully, we wouldn't say that it depends upon that forage, but if we classify that as habitat and treat it as such, that'd probably be a disastrous policy with cars going back and forth and would likely lead to harm. Certainly that's an extreme example, but it illustrates the difference between what something is dependent upon or could be dependent upon versus something that it could simply use. And so you can end up with some superfluous geographical classifications if you end up classifying it as anything that something could use as habitat. So that was one of the areas that we provided comment on. There are some negatives that could potentially develop, and we'll continue to monitor the situation and continue to fight to make sure that those negatives aren't included in the final definition to make sure that there's no more restrictive element. One other important thing to note, and we're grateful for the services mentioning this in their solicitation, is they don't intend to use this definition for regulatory increases. So they don't intend to add more regulations for the classification of habitat. And we're grateful for that. We would highly encourage them to keep it that way. We believe that critical habitat incorporates the necessary regulatory burden that has to exist. But that's another area that we're monitoring as well. So we'll keep you updated. And if there's any changes or whatever, in any way in which you need to get involved, we will certainly let you know. Thanks for stopping by, and hopefully that answers your questions.
So we have been going through the archives every week, and we are scanning items in our workroom, and we came across this little guy. Now, originally, it was in a box that was filled with half garbage, and you can see that it wasn't very well taken care of, and all I saw was 1910. And of course, the curious part of me had to go and look into it, and I am so excited to show you this. I don't know, can you see that? This is the Idaho Wool Growers Association Convention held in Caldwell, January 3rd and 4th from 1910. This is so exciting. I'm afraid to touch half the papers. Some of them, as you can see, are starting to fall apart. And we need to get this to the Historical Society. There's a little bit of water damage on some of them. But without going through all of the papers, I wanted to show you that somebody had typed all of this up by hand. And try not to go too fast, but can you see right here? We have Governor Gooding. He was the very first wool growers president, and he also signed off. He moved to adjourn this meeting as well. So that was very exciting to me. And before I move on, I want to show you the ram sale poster that they used. That was what they put around their convention notes. So that's the minutes for the 1910 convention, and we are about to have our convention 110 years later. So it's kind of really exciting. When you come into our offices, you are going to find our wall of presidents, and our very first president is Governor Gooding. Now, he started the wool growers before the state of Idaho was a state. And he is the only governor on record that was not a naturalized citizen when he became governor. So that is very exciting to us. Also, when he started the wool growers, he personally had over 100,000 sheep in Idaho. That just blows my mind. Right now we have about 130,000 in the entire state, and he personally had over 100,000 all those years ago. So I'm quite excited to find that paper, the convention papers that are 110 years old. We will get those to the Historical Society very soon, and they can do their preservation on it. And just wanted to let you know a little bit of our history and let you see what we're finding in these boxes. So thank you again. Don't forget to register for convention, and don't forget to get knitting. So knit all those squares that you can and register for convention immediately, please. All right, you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next time.